Let's get it popping.
Good evening, folks. I am Freddy Vazquez. This is Basement Politics Unfiltered. Tonight, let's discuss bail reform. Is it working or is it not? I'll go over the Zoom meeting hall, town hall, whatever you want to call it, with Yonkers NAACP and our district attorney, Mimi Rocha, as well as Senator Andrea Stewart-Cousins. Good evening, folks. It's been quite a week. How you doing, folks? Been quite a week. I've had a lot of views on that episode, past two episodes, and maybe it's because of the CSEA union. I spoke about them. I did get some flack, but I did get some folks that appreciated the podcast. I did get messages saying thank you, but I also got posts created with me tagged in it about me. But hey, it comes with the territory. It is what it is. Anyway, I want to talk about the bail reform. Is bail reform working? From what I've been hearing and what I've been seeing in the news, no, it's not working. Many people will say it's not. Many people have been complaining. And I bumped into a video scrolling through Facebook from the Yonkers NAACP, where they had a Zoom hall meeting, which included Westchester County DA Mimi Rocha, as well as Councilwoman Corazon Pineda Isaac, and Andrea Stewart-Cousins, senator from New York State. And they discussed bail reform. Mimi Rocha, and I'll get to her in a second, she kind of recognizes that bail reform may not be working. Andrea Stewart-Cousins, Senator Cousins, defended bail reform, as well as Council Member Corazon Pineda Isaac. Let's talk bail reform with the Yonkers NAACP and City Hall's favorite Latina, Councilwoman Corazon Pineda Isaac. Town hall meeting was put together by the Yonkers NAACP to get to the bottom of the misconception of bail reform. And though all the noise and as they put it, all the fake news, they want to get through all the fake news, all the misconceptions, the misinformation that's being put out there in regards to bail reform. So they wanted this was set up so they can get through that, state the actual facts. But exactly what was the goal of the Yonkers NAACP in defending bail reform? By presenting what they say are the facts, because Republicans have been using fake news to discredit bail reform. So they blame it strictly on Republicans. They're saying this is a Republican, fake news campaign to discredit or attack Democrats, right? Because there's this whole red wave that they're talking about. A lot of people seem to be upset with bail reform and other issues. We're at war. Gas prices are soaring. Democrats are not looking good. We're coming on elections. So the Democrats, I believe, are working hard, working overtime to try to save face from this failed bail reform. So they're throwing it on the Republicans, right? Bail reform, as well as the Democrats that supported it, Democrats, I should say, supported it also. Although they're blaming it on Republicans, there are quite a few Democrats that are speaking out against the bail reform. One of them is our very own mayor, Mike Spano, a Democrat who has spoken out against bail reform and says bail reform needs to be reformed, right? Also, we've had, Democrat and candidate for governor, New York State, Tom Suozzi, who I met this weekend, who has also said New York State has a serious problem. Bail reform needs to change. Something needs to happen. So is this a civic issue or a political issue? Why does it matter, Fred? It does. It matters, and individuals know why I said that. Is this a political or is it civic matter, right? Can civic and political issues be separated? I'm not sure. I think they go hand in hand, right? There's still some more dots to connect. But for now, let's talk Yonkers NAACP, Corazon Pineda, and bail reform. What did they have to say? Well, Corazon Pineda Isaac, was excited to be there. She was anxious to talk about the misinformation that is out there and present the real facts and real data, how bail reform is working. She said Republicans are using the failure of bail reform as a scapegoat for their gun laws for their failed gun laws and reform that they refused to pass, right? So they blame it on gun laws and other, justice reforms that she's saying the Republicans refuse to pass, right? So she looks forward to combat misinformation and miscommunication as well, whatever that means, right? So they called it fear tactics by those who don't want to see real reform. But is it scare tactics? It's not just elected officials that are complaining about bail reform. I mean, the people are as well. People are talking. Democrats, Democratic voters, Republican voters alike are talking, and they're all complaining. You see it in the news. There's a guy that was arrested, or a woman arrested, and they were released only to be rearrested again. So what is she talking about? Is bail reform working? Right? So again, it's not just Republicans that are talking about or coming out against bail reform. Maybe she didn't realize the mayor has spoken about it very recently, right? He's complained and said that they need to reform it. And again, as well as registered Democrats. Also, how many have noticed the recent use of terms like fake news by Democrats? That was actually a Donald Trump term, and now they seem to be using it a lot whenever they need to, I guess, discredit information, negative information about them. So they've learned to use the term, right? So she said, for many, many years, governments, people in power, failed to implement incremental changes that would further empower or do positive things for the community. Really? So you mean like the affordable housing ordinance that you guys failed to pass and have not presented a new proposal? Although I hear there may be one coming soon, that would have been an incremental change that would have been positive for the community, right? But you guys didn't pass that. Majority Democrats in the council. What happened there? Corazon called herself a radical, or she said, why they have to be radical, right? She said Democrats have to be radical because they have to take these radical steps for failed to put policies, because Republicans failed to put policies in place that help people in the community. So it was all about bashing Republicans. And again, I get it. She's a Democrat. That's what they do. It's election season. They have to bash Republicans regardless of what, right? So Christopher Johnson also, I forgot to mention, was on the call. He really didn't say a whole lot. He jumped in. He says he tries to do his best to work hard to make sure that they put all issues for all people, but especially for people of color, at the forefront. He began to say one of the big issues coming before us is the redistricting. That's the redistricting, going on here in the state of New York. We should see proposals for redistricting in the coming months, and he will be keeping an eye on it, right? And kind of just, I guess, letting us know about that. That's pretty much all he said. And then it went over back to Keisha Skipper of the Yonkers NAACP and other organizations. And then next up was Mimi Rocha. Mimi Rocha was a celebrity. She was given a 2-minute introduction, right? So then she begins to speak, and she said her primary job was to investigate crime. Mimi Rocha's name came up recently in a podcast when I was talking about Quid Quo Pro and John Rubo. We also talked about the Mike Breen article that came out in the Tribune regarding Quid Quo Pro, and someone said, maybe we need to get the Westchester County DA to investigate that. I said, I doubt it. I doubt it, right? I doubt it. She began speaking about one of her priorities which was equality within our justice system here in Westchester County, and was proud of the case review unit that she had established. Right. Well, what about equal justice when it comes to, regular folks and elected officials? They don't seem to get investigated as often as us regular folks do. And there's plenty of stuff to investigate. So where's the equality and justice when it comes to that? She's also proud of and established several diversion programs, such as Fresh Start, a pre-arraignment program. They are working on expanding mental health diversion programs to include felonies and not just misdemeanors. So basically, diversion programs are, instead of putting individuals in jail, they'll send them to programs or find services for them, specifically with individuals who appear to have or have mental health documented. They try to, get them into programs, get them social work therapy rather than put them in jail. And that's usually reserved for those who have committed misdemeanors. But she says she's working on the divergent program to include those with mental health who have committed felonies. These divergent programs are designed to address underlying factors of crime, including addiction, mental health issues, poverty, and education, etc. Appointed attorney to specifically work on wage. As she said, this is another thing she did. She appointed attorneys to specifically work on wage and work safety, workers' safety cases, right? So I'm wondering what's going on with that John Rubo lawsuit, right? It's in federal court now for unpaid wages, right? And she's speaking about this because she's talking in reference to, immigrants who come here undocumented, who are working here and who get taken advantage of. And currently, as I mentioned in podcasts before, Council Member John Rubo is being sued in federal court by former employees over unpaid wages, Hispanic employees. All right. So are you working on that one, Mimi Rocha, district attorneys? Just question. She talked about the demographics within the Westchester County DA's office. 5% of the 5 prosecutors are black males, right? So there are 5 black male prosecutors, and there are 12 black female prosecutors within the Westchester County DA. That represents male 4.2% and black female 10%. She said it's not enough, and she knows that they need to diversify it. She said they are recruiting, but the pandemic has made it difficult. It has also impacted the hiring. She apologized, and she said they're trying to do their best. Why do you apologize, Mimi, for that? Are you purposely not hiring people of color? Are you making efforts to, avoid hiring people of color? Or are you hiring, everyone, looking at them equally and hiring those who are best qualified? Because if that is what you're doing and your office is honestly hiring those who are best qualified, regardless of their color, then you have nothing to apologize for. That's what I believe. You can say, maybe we can expand our search, area of search, try to make an effort to target minorities. And she spoke about doing that by, going after, historically black colleges or colleges that have a high, student population that are black or Hispanic or minority. All right. So they said they're going to do that. And that's great. And I think it's great. Right. But, for me personally, I don't like that. It's like almost like you're handicapped, right? You're like a handicap. And I don't think as a Hispanic, I'm a handicapped male. And not that I don't, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, there's not people who discriminate. Absolutely. And we definitely need to see more diversity in everything, including, our government here in Yonkers and county and state, wherever, right? But I don't want it to, don't just hire people to say we're going to diversify. Make sure they're qualified and don't treat us like we're special needs or something like that, right? We're just as capable. Maybe we need to do programs that go into the schools, right? Let's do stuff that's more of a proactive approach. Go in schools, talk to kids young, schools in neighborhoods that are mostly minority, black and Hispanic, and talk to them about becoming lawyers and doctors. Maybe that's how we get more diversification, right? So that's what we need to do, and that's what I think is how they should focus on that, not necessarily just looking to hire, as wherever they could, as far as they could, to specifically find people of color, right? And again, I'm just saying, I know that there is discrimination, and I know that we need to diversify more, but sometimes it's made to seem like it's like a handicap. That's all I'm saying. And there could be other things that could be done to increase that diversity, and I believe that's proactive approaches, getting into schools early on, right? Do programs with the Westchester County DA and, high schools, right? And maybe middle schools, get them into it, see what's all about. And I'm sure you'll see more diversity because you'll get more people of color wanting to become prosecutors. Prosecutors don't always have the best reputation with people of color, just saying, right? So that's what she talked about there when it comes to diversity. She said she's working very hard and she apologized. Crime and mental health. She was asked, what is she doing about crime and mental health? She says she partnered with the Westchester Department of Community and Mental Health. First-time offenders, low-level nonviolent misdemeanors The only detail she gave besides, when they asked that question, besides that, first-time offenders, low-level, nonviolent misdemeanors, they're trying to work with them to not put them in jail and to, find other programs for them. It just was very vague. It's just very vague, and I see this a lot from elected officials and stuff. They don't really, speak with details. And it almost seemed at one point when she was speaking about some of these programs that she didn't really know much about them. I'm not saying that they don't have them, but maybe she's not really concerned with them, right? Let's just set it up so if they ask, yeah, we got that program, whatever, but I don't really know much about it, so I couldn't give you much details because there were really no details really when they asked that question. It was very vague. I didn't really know what the answer was. That's just me. You guys can go watch it. She did speak about the Mount Vernon Youth Court, has been extremely successful. They tried to get individuals services for mental health rather than putting them in jail, right? That's what they kept saying. We got that. She says some of the important, she said something important just before, I'm sorry, I don't know what I wrote there, but one thing that she said that was important, she attributed, one of the primary causes of people getting incarcerated, becoming incarcerated and entering the system was mental health, right? She said that is one of the primary reasons. So, I mean, what are we doing for mental health specifically? And don't wait till they're in front of a judge now to decide to get them services and help, because you can go to Getty Square or anywhere in the downtown area and you can see individuals who are in need of mental health services. Why wait till they get arrested and to figure that out, right? So again, being more proactive, and I get it, she's the prosecutor. That's when she sees the individuals, but maybe she can speak with individuals from the county or the state and say, hey, let's do programs that are proactive, right? Let's do initiatives that we can get into the communities and help individuals before I see them and then have to decide, am I going to put them in jail or am I going to give them some program? Right. So I started to think about how crime here in Yonkers and the mental health population, the statement that she said, further validates, the cries of many who have called on elected officials to make an impactful effort to address mental health crisis that has been compounded not only by the rate of crime, all right, or that has compounded not only the rate of crime here, but the housing crisis that we are already facing here. So we have the mental health issue, and that just compounds the problem, right, with crime. Like you said, mental health leads to crime, people becoming incarcerated. So that leads to a higher crime rate and higher homelessness rate, right? So it's kind of all one issue, really, bundled into one. And it's a team effort. It should be with the DA, elected officials, community organizations, right? Community leaders. So it's a big thing we have to tackle, right? It's very complex, but again, let's try to be proactive. Let's do initiatives so they're not coming to Mimi Rocha and now they're deciding where to put them. And this is also why it's so important that we are doing more to address mental health, and why Shanae Williams, you need to utilize your committee that you chair, the Community and Mental Health Services Committee, to do more for mental health and not just have a meeting on opportunity zone funds and investing capital gains, right? I don't understand. I don't get the connection there. I don't know why you spent a whole hour doing that in your meeting when you hear what Mimi Rocha is saying? Do you hear it? Mimi Rocha supported bail reform because she said the old system was broken. And changing bail reform does not mean going back to the old system. But the old system, we didn't see a lot of this stuff, right? And if you're talking about inequality in the old system, then that's a whole nother issue that we need to tackle. It's not about changing laws. The old system where judges had discretion and many were being excessive with cash bail, right? That's what she said. She said it was a bit of a free for all and called it a disaster, right? But to me, it didn't sound like there was a problem with the laws. It sounds like there's a problem with the people. Who are the judges and prosecutors, right? Don't change the law. You said it's about their discretion and they were, giving these high cash bails. Well, if we had good individuals in there, right, honest individuals, those who operated with integrity, then they would use that discretion appropriately. But the fact that they can't use the discretion appropriately suggests that there's a problem with the people, not a problem with the laws, right? You don't need to change the laws and create bail reform. You need to change the people, right? That's what you need to do. So anyway, so she says that the old system hurt primarily people of color. Yeah, I agree. I too was a victim of police targeting, right? I was arrested just for coming out of a building across the street where I knew people. My father lived. They arrested me for trespassing, right? And I understand about the discretion thing. right? Because I too saw that, right? I know a guy that was arrested. He had weed. They caught him with marijuana. He got out in 20 minutes with a ticket. I was arrested for trespassing, and they kept me in there, and I had to go see the judge the next day. And it was dismissed, and it was dry. It was stupid. I was in a building that I know people in. I was seeing someone. I went to their home, and I came out, and they didn't believe me. So they arrested me. And found nothing. But, so again, that was just kind of, a thing that they did. You have to meet a quota. But I didn't understand why who got arrested for trespassing, was kept overnight while someone who was arrested with drugs. And at that time, marijuana is not like it is now. It was a bigger deal. And he got out in 20 minutes with a ticket. So, I guess I understand what she means. But that individual was black, the guy that got out in 20 minutes. And he actually had a record. I didn't. So I don't understand that. They almost ruined my career because my job, had to have me explain the whole thing. All right. But it's a much more complex problem, I think, that started long before individuals appear in front of the judge. Again, we're trying to solve the problem using a top-down approach, right? A more reactive solution. So we need to get in the community and do these programs and initiatives that address mental health so they're not committing the crime and then seeing Mimi Rocha. All right. And then it may be too late. They may commit a crime that may be a felony or something that they can't get a diversion program for. And it was attributed to mental health. But because they're so concerned with these developments going up and leaving the mentally ill people out on the street, addicted to drugs, homeless. Yeah, that's what they care about. Right. So that's what you're going to have to deal with, Mimi. You're going to have to see them coming to you. Right. So what will they be most successful if not changing the laws, unless obviously need to be focusing on the mental health aspect? Right. That's where they will be more successful, focusing on the mental health aspect and community services component to identify needs and ways to provide early intervention so that people of color or anyone, especially someone battling mental health, does not find themselves making police contact to begin with. Right. That's just my, my opinion. And again, my opinion is just my opinion. Andrea Stewart-Cousins said that everything should not be blamed on bail reform. She said we should consider the pandemic, right? And that's true. The pandemic has caused a lot of hardships. People are going out there, committing crime. But the fact that they have this bail reform and they know they may come out right away, and it's a pandemic, and now you're really enticing people to do it, to go commit a crime, right? To me, I believe you guys caused this problem to begin with, even with the pandemic. And I'm not just talking about Democrats. I mean, all elected officials who opted to lock down the country and cause this crisis that we are in, this economic crisis. And now you want to have a problem over here in the Ukraine and get us involved in that, right? And by the way, there's a great documentary out by Oliver Stone, came out in 2009. It's called Ukraine on Fire. And you should watch that because it explains to you in detail, right, exactly what's going on. It will contradict the mainstream media totally, which is why it's been banned and censored. Yeah, that's right. An Oliver Stone documentary has been banned and censored because if you watch it, you will see that the media is lying to you, right? So it's all games these politicians play. That's what I believe. They locked us down. They caused this pandemic. Now they want us in this conflict. Gas prices are going up. Yeah, people are going to start going crazy and they're going to start losing their mind, even those that were once sane, and may start committing crime, So what are you guys going to do about that, right? Bail reform isn't going to help with that. And reforming bail reform isn't going to help with that. And blaming the Republicans, which is what Senator Cousins mostly did, is not going to help with that. Okay, it's not going to help with that. Right. So anyway, bail reform, examples of crimes that you will get released right away for. Violent criminals have been released immediately, resulting in repeat offense for of the same crimes that normally have required a bail. Now they were not given bail and they were released. Crimes like using a child to commit a controlled substance crime, third-degree assault as a hate crime. See, we're talking about inequality and helping minorities in the justice system. But if you commit a hate crime, you'll be released right away in third degree. Reckless assault of a child by a daycare provider, right? Menacing as a hate crime. Criminal obstruction of breathing. Basically, if you're strangling somebody, you'll get released right away. And killing an animal on purpose. Those are just some crimes. Name a few that if you committed those crimes, you would get released right away to go strangle another person again, kill another animal, or commit another hate crime, right? So I thought we were trying to help minorities, right? So I just want to give a few statistics. This is from City and State New York, right? So did bail reform work? According to City and State New York, it both worked and failed. Bail reform has both worked and failed. Supporters point to the fact that only 4% were rearrested after release. Well, opponents point to the raw numbers of 3,400 were rearrested after being released. So that's one too many. That's one too many. That's 3,400 crime repeat offenders right there, right? That's one too many, especially if there was a victim in that crime and the person was just released. They didn't have to be a victim of the crime, right? According to Democratic, and I said this candidate for Governor Tom Suozzi, who I met with again, he pointed to the increase in crime, saying we have a serious problem in our state. And he's a Democrat, by the way, Corazon, and Senator Cousins. He's a Democrat. And again, he isn't the only one. All right. Here in our city, Mayor Mike Spano has also criticized bail reform as well. So what is the solution? I don't know. I don't have all the answers. Right. So what is the solution? Well, those that champion for bail reform wanted to see changes because they say, and statistics show that our justice system is largely skewed in favor of whites and people with money. They say that the problem is the discretion given to judges and prosecutors, which leads to high cash bails or no bail for nonviolent crimes, leaving people in jail with violent criminals. But isn't that you're supposed to scare you, right? You don't want to go to jail with a violent criminal, right, and become Big Bubba's girlfriend. Don't commit any crime. Not any crime at all. The way I see it, if the problem is inequality within the justice system, negatively impacting minorities and the poor, as well as the discretion given to judges and prosecutors, then it is not a problem with the law, but the people tasked with applying the law. Maybe we need to look at the judges and prosecutors. Maybe they're racist. Maybe they have other agendas for locking people up, like in the 90s, right? When your president, Joe Biden, got the crime bill passed. Right. So now judges and prosecutors were putting people away, mostly minorities, blacks and Hispanics, because they wanted to fill up the prisons. That was a whole scam because that bill gave money to private prisons. So the private prisons needed people. If you don't have people, you're not going to get the money. Right. So they incentivized police departments all across the country to arrest people, mostly black, Hispanic and the poor, to fill up the jails to continue to get money from the bail, from the crime bill. Money that was handed out is always about money being given out by Congress. That's what they always do. And all the rich guys with the businesses and all that, and even the politicians who own the businesses and invested them, all make money, folks. They never do anything for you. If you believe that, then you believe that. That's on you. Anyway, that's my thing on bail reform. Actually, I wanted to say one thing. Go on LexingtonNational.com if you want. I wanted to give you a little bit of the effects in other places. In El Paso, Texas, because, folks, bail reform is not just unique to New York, right? So in El Paso, Texas, bail reform led to a substantial increase in costs and increase in failures of people to appear. They had a total lost revenue of $12,985,988. In New Mexico, resulted in increased crime and failure to appear. Washington, D.C., substantial cost increase and increase in detention. Kentucky, increase in jail populations and failure to appear. In Jersey, increased costs, lack of transparency, and lack of results. Right? That's what it led to. Lessons learned: bail reform without supervision creates chaos. Promise of cost savings and jail population reduction have not been realized, and increased costs to governments, municipalities, law enforcement agencies, and etc. So it hasn't been a success, really. And not to say that there isn't inequality in our justice system. I just think the way we approach it should be different. That's all I'm saying. Let's try a new technique.
Get it popping.
That's right, folks. Let's get it popping. Let's get it popping. I'm Freddy Vazquez with Basement Politics Unfiltered. So yesterday I did a podcast on the CSEA 9169 union and the lack of contract that, and also the lack of communication that they have been having, members have been having with their leadership. Now, I saw a post that I was tagged in, and it called me a bonchinchero, which is gossiper in Spanish, and that's fine, and I'll take all criticism. I'm not mad. I'm not upset. But however, I do want to be very clear. I want to be very, 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 very clear, right? I do this basement politics not to be famous. I have no desire to be famous. In fact, people come up to me now and say, hey, I don't really, it's scary. I have no desire. I don't make any money from it. No one's paying me to do this. And I've been getting a lot of flack. It's not easy and it takes up time. I do this because I want to help and change the community for the better. I was a victim of some certain things here in the community, and this is what led me to basement politics. And since I've been doing it, it's just kind of taken a life of its own, and it's grown. People have been reaching out to me. People have been supportive, right? But I'm not going to make everyone happy. And I understand that, and I get that. But I do this for those who are seeking a voice, to amplify their voice, a platform where they can have their grievances heard and try and get some help, maybe get some things moving along. And so people reach out to me, right? So people, again, from CSEA were reaching out to me, and they were asking if I can help, if I can, maybe speak about it, see if they can get some movement, right? I've even asked the president to come on the show several times because I like to ask people. I like to give an opportunity to give their side. It's nothing against the individual, not at all. It's not personal, not at all. I even asked the vice president as well. I didn't get a response. I got the runaround. So the show must go on. And I did the show. Apparently people didn't like it. They got upset, right? And some people made comments. Although I still got positive comments, I still got people who appreciated and thanked me, whether through private message or via text. And I appreciate their support. But I would have never got involved, or I would have never mentioned it had it not been for the members contacting me, had it not been for the post that I saw on the CSEA page where they were asking about a contract. People were complaining. People were saying things. So I spoke about it. You had your opportunity to come on the show and state your case or say your side. I gave you that opportunity. You chose not to. That's on you. And so, I don't understand why, the attention or the negative flag, has been directed towards me when I'm just amplifying the voices of individuals who are saying these things. I didn't create it. I didn't make it up, right? I'm only amplifying it. I'm only giving individuals a platform. And I will continue to do that on any issue here in the city of Yonkers, political or community, social issue. I will continue to do that. That's what basement politics is about. I'm here for the people. I'm here to help you guys. And you have to understand, sometimes, you may not like the issue the topic I discuss, right? And sometimes you do, because I've had individuals, message me and agree with me on a topic. And then the same individuals may not now agree with me, but that's okay, right? Sometimes you're going to like it, sometimes you're not. It just depends what benefits you, I guess, right? But I'm always going to be unbiased, and I'm always going to, give everybody an equal opportunity, and regardless, who you are or what the topic is, I will always be on the side of the people, and it is political. It is political. So, to the individual that says stick to politics, I am sticking to politics. It is political, and you know why. So again, my apologies if I offended anybody. And those who supported Alberto, I'm sure that your experiences with President Alberto is very real. I'm sure he has gone above and beyond for you. I'm not just denying that or discrediting that or saying that you're lying. But the same way you say that he has gone above and beyond for you, there are members that are saying he hasn't done anything. And you can't discredit them. You have to validate their concerns and their grievances as well. I'm Freddy Vazquez, this is Basement Politics. Thank you for watching. I will be on tomorrow. I'll see you then. Have a great night and enjoy your week, folks. No! I am Freddy Vazquez. That was Basement Politics Unfiltered. Thank you for watching tonight. Yonkers, I do the show for you, for the people of Yonkers. I'm always on the side of the people. I am always available for discussion. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, I welcome all criticism as well as compliments. Thank you for supporting the show. I appreciate all those who have shared and who continue to watch, who continue to say great things about it. Thank you very much. I'm Freddy Vazquez. Have a great night.